The humans told us they would not start wars, the Althari ambassador whispered, her voice low as frost. But they also said they would never lose one. The hologram above the center dais shifted. A planetary feed, Epsilon Verge, flickered in shades of red and ash. A colony once green and thriving now burned. Black smoke spiraled from shattered arcologies. Bodies, small ones, were scattered like forgotten tools. Someone in the chamber gasped. Another looked away. Elira Voss stood silently, her dark uniform catching the dim council light. She didn't blink. She'd seen worse. Much worse. And she knew what was coming. Order, barked the Arbiter drone from its perch. Council Session 987-47. Alpha is an emergency quorum. Species representatives may now issue statements. The Draelth ambassador, Lord Kim Marvetor, slithered forward on clawed limbs. His voice carried the same smug confidence as always. An unfortunate misunderstanding. Epsilon Verge was an unlawful extension of human territory. The Draelth Dominion merely corrected an overreach. A colony of civilians, Elira said, breaking her silence. Her voice was low but crisp, like steel drawn from a sheath. No weapons, no defenses, no warning. Their presence was defiant. Marvetor's four eyes glinted like polished amber. And humans, as we all know, excel in defiance. It's cultural. The Althari representative shifted uncomfortably in her fluid seat. You were warned. By you, perhaps. But fear is not law, and we Draelth do not legislate based on myth. Elira took a single step forward. Her boots echoed. Even the Arbiter fell silent. You mistake restraint for weakness, she said, and myth for memory. We did not threaten you. We warned you. Every human who survived the soul uplift wore carries that memory like bone under skin. Poetry, Vator sneered. Pretty, but useless. Elira turned slightly, addressing the entire chamber. The Galactic Council categorized humanity as a species of concern a century ago. You called us aggressive, adaptive, unpredictable, and you were right. That's why we obeyed the Accords, why we withdrew, why we built fences around our own systems and asked to be left alone. She let the silence hang. But if you breach those fences, if you step into our house, kill our children, and light our soil on fire, you'll not find politicians waiting. The chamber buzzed with nervous subharmonics, alien languages muttering beneath the surface. You'll find survivors. Across the chamber, a display panel blinked. A priority broadcast scrolled across the upper arc. The Draelth Dominion had officially claimed Epsilon Verge as an annexed protectorate. Human diplomats were being ejected from Draelth systems. Communications with Earth were severed. Elira didn't react. She didn't need to. Instead, she walked slowly toward the council's center dais, pausing beside the Althari ambassador. He's already made the call, she murmured. Viacor? The Othries' fronds trembled. Yes, the Archregent won't stop at one colony. He's not just testing our resolve. He's declaring dominance. His people believe it's their age now. She paused. They believe we're still primitive. The Arbiter pulsed again. Ambassador Voss, do you wish to submit a formal protest? No. Her eyes fixed on the center holofeed where images of Epsilon Verge continue to loop. Reduced cities, scorched skies, faces frozen mid-scream. This isn't politics anymore. An hour later, in a quiet hallway carved from obsidian glass, Elira stood alone. Her diplomatic badge pulse read, a low-level alert from Earth Command. Encrypted. Direct. She pressed a finger to her wrist node. Voss! Confirm code Delta 9. A man's voice responded. Clipped. Sharp. We received the last burst from Verge. 6 hours ago. The payload was intact. Full video. Civilians. Executions. Children. She didn't respond. Orders. Elira? The voice asked again. Stand by, she said. I'll advise in 2 hours. She closed the channel and stared through the translucent wall into the stars beyond. They called humanity dangerous, savage, unfit for a council seat. And maybe they weren't wrong. Humanity had clawed its way off a dying Earth, survived planetary collapse, self-inflicted nuclear winter, orbital wars, AI rebellions, and still built something better. That history didn't disappear. It sank into their bones, coded into culture, into instinct. They didn't chase conquest anymore. They didn't need to, but they remembered how. Later, as the council reconvened in partial emergency session, Alira stood again, calm, straight-backed, unreadable. "We are told to obey structure," she said, addressing the full chamber. "We respect that. We tried to belong here, among all of you." She looked to the Ixari, the Zar, and the Athari, species older than human history. "But the Draelth just killed 93,000 of us. Children, medics, botanists. They violated a no-contact accord. They did so knowing who we are, knowing what we can become." She leaned forward slightly, voice tightening. "You had your warnings. He had his." She turned and walked away from the dais without waiting for approval to be dismissed. Behind her, one Ixari whispered to another, "What do we do now?" The Athari ambassador answered, "Pray she doesn't come back." The sun over Epsilon Verge, 9 rose like a soft pulse, casting a warm amber hue across the misty farmland. Early morning, the kind that whispered promise. Drones hummed quietly over the orchards, monitoring soil health and irrigation flow. Children's laughter echoed between rows of solar panel barns. Birds, genetically restored from Earth's extinct species, swooped across the sky in playful loops. And then the sky cracked. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't natural. It was the kind of rupture you felt in your teeth. The clouds split open as 12 Draelth dreadnoughts pierced the atmosphere in a descending V formation, casting enormous shadows over plains. The laughter stopped. In the capital settlement of Halvin Spire, the emergency sirens didn't even have time to scream. Within seconds, the planetary grid went black. Communications satellites blinked out. The defense relay, small, civilian-grade, shattered before a warning could be broadcast. High-orbit kinetic rounds rained down in a precise, brutal rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. Arcology towers collapsed like kicked anthills. Roads burst open. A shielded school dome took a direct hit and folded inward. There was no resistance. There wasn't supposed to be. Verge 9 was a civilian agricultural outpost, protected by the Interstellar Peace Charter and a signed non-aggression pact. But VA Corps Threx didn't care. From high orbit aboard the Sovereign Talon, VA Corps stood on the observation deck, his forearms folded behind his back. He sipped a bitter Draelth elixir as the planet writhed below. "They were told to stay in their place," he muttered. "Now they learn." A junior tactician approached, his frills twitching. "My lord, scans confirmed total comms blackout. Human reinforcements unlikely within response window." "Good," VA Corps said. "Leave the Eastern Hemisphere intact. We'll raise the Draelth standard over it. And the survivors," he smiled faintly, "let them crawl." On the surface, Nora Lien sprinted to the smoke-choked ruins of Halvin Spire with a wrapped infant pressed against her chest. Blood ran down her temple. She didn't know whose it was. She passed toppled scaffolds, burning transit vehicles, a collapsed biodome. The colony's emergency shelter had already been hit. She could smell the bodies, flesh and scorched polymer. Her comlink buzzed but found no signal. Static. She turned a corner and nearly collided with Tef Arlen, a systems engineer with shattered arm and a datapad jammed into a shoulder sling. "Nora," he gasped. "They took out the uplink, but I got the deep probe online. It's in the subtunnel. We have 60 seconds before they triangulate the signal." "Does it have visual confirmation?" she asked, barely catching her breath. Tef nodded and handed her the pad. On it was footage. The Draelth ships descending, orbital bombardment in time-stamped detail, high-res scans of Draelth insignias painted boldly on the hulls. "No encryption," she said, locking eyes with him. "No time." She ran, down into the lower tunnels, through smoke and water leaks and collapsed bulkheads. She found the probe, a bullet-shaped deep space drone designed for geological mapping, and shoved the pad inside. The seal hissed shut. Nora hesitated. She heard thudding above, growing louder. Then she slammed her palm against the launch control. The drone fired upward through a concealed magnetic chute and vanished into the clouds. Above them, a Drail patrol squad landed near the launch site. One of them knelt, tapping the surface. Launch residue detected. Tracer failure. Find it. Their officer growled. Now. Far overhead, the probe cleared the exosphere and blinked into slipstream. It had no weapons, no defenses, just data. It carried the only surviving footage of the Verge massacre and Earth's only warning. Back on the Sovereign Talon, Viacor stared down at the smoldering remains of Halvin's spire. No human response. His A confirmed. Their network remains fractured. No fleet mobilizations detected. They won't come, Viacor said. They're afraid of breaking Council protocol. He turned and walked toward his war throne, placing a clawed hand on the engraved Draelf crest above it. Send a message, he ordered. Epsilon Verge is now under Drael protection. Inform the Council that we have cleansed illegal occupation. And Earth, Viacor smiled, let them howl in their cage. 6 days later, in a dim war room on Luna Station, Earth's Strategic Command gathered in silence. The probe had arrived. It floated silently into the hangar, like a ghost from a graveyard. Engineers retrieved the data core and connected it to the secure node. Elira Voss stood beside the Earth President and Supreme Admiral Kalen Ricks. The first image flickered onto the holoscreen. A Drael ship descending. A planetary shield shattering. A biodome imploding. Children crushed beneath a falling arcology tower. Elira said nothing. Her jaw tightened. Her pulse didn't change. They made it public. Admiral Ricks growled. They wanted us to see it. The President looked pale. Do we go through Council channels? No. Elira's voice cut through the silence like a scalpel. Viacor knew what he was doing. He wanted a reaction. He wanted us to look weak. If we stall, he takes another world. So, Ricks asked. Elira didn't blink. We answer. The war room on Luna Station was dead quiet. Dozens of high-ranking officials sat around a circular table of tempered steel. Projected above them, the footage from the Epsilon Verge probe played on a loop, silent, colorless, clinical, and still unbearable. Elira Voss stood, hand behind her back, eyes locked on the scene where a Drael strike obliterated a school dome in one pulse of orbital fire. She watched it again without flinching. President Amina Reese finally broke the silence. We have evidence, names, flight telemetry, Drael fleet IDs. Their ambassador is denying all of it. They always do, Elira said calmly. And the Council? Asked General Yao. Elira shook her head, deliberating, condemning, nothing more. They murdered 90,000 civilians, Yao said through clenched teeth. They targeted escaped ships. They wanted us to wait for permission to respond. Elira said, they're baiting delay, knowing the Council will drown in protocol. President Reese leaned forward. Then we respond? No, said a flat, artificial voice from the room center. A silver orb rose from its recessed socket and began to hum. Its outer layer glowed with faint hexagonal light. This was Oberon, Earth's war strategic AI. It didn't make emotional arguments. It didn't seek revenge. It executed probabilities, not respond. Oberon said, execute. General Yao frowned. Clarify. Oberon's tone didn't change. The probability of diplomatic resolution resulting in deterrence is 1.3%. The probability of a repeat event within 90 days is 81%. Initiating counterforce now prevents escalation and demonstrates absolute deterrence. Define counterforce, the President said cautiously. Elira turned toward her. Protocol of fire. Gasps erupted from across the room. Some stood. Others froze. Even the generals didn't hide their discomfort. Protocol of fire was no myth. It was a classified military directive. Unpublicized. Unused. It existed for one reason only, a civilization-scale act of calculated retribution. No planetary glassing. Elira clarified before anyone spoke. No genocide. No civilian targeting. No conquest. She looked around the room. Voice even. This is precision. Measured destruction. Only military infrastructure. High command. Fleet yards. Power networks. Everything they use to wage war. Taken from them. Nothing more. Nothing less. President Reese looked toward Oberon. Estimate casualties? Minimal. Estimated Drale military personnel. 412,000. Civilian collateral. Projected below 4%. Reese exhaled slowly. And after? They will not raise a hand against humanity again, Oberon replied. Nor will any council raise question the warning again. Yao folded his arms. What if this sparks a galactic war? It won't, Alira answered. The others are watching. Most of them are afraid. Some are hoping we hesitate. But they remember Earth's last war. They remember what we did with sticks and scrap against fleets that span light years. Humanity doesn't retaliate emotionally, she added. We retaliate strategically, and only once. Reese stood. All right, she said. Initiate protocol of fire. Oberon's glow deepened. Confirmed. 3 hours later, across Earth's solar system, the Black Fleet awoke. At Mercury's dark edge, stealth cruisers uncloaked, warm drives, and vanished into slipstream. On Neptune's outer orbit, hangars opened and released kinetic delivery platforms that moved silently toward deep space. At Luna's far side, a vessel never officially named disengaged its cradle, coasted into black, and disappeared, its hull absorbing all light, its signal profile blank. None of them bore flags. No broadcasts. No threats. Just silence. Within 20 hours, the first Drale Fleet yard collapsed inward, imploded from within by a subatomic cascade. The explosion was barely visible on long-range scans, but the fleet under construction inside simply ceased to exist. 2 more yards followed. Power stations on 3 Drale border worlds went dark. Their fusion cores overloaded, melting silently beneath containment fields. No civilian cities were hit. Still, Drale colonies blinked out of communication. Then, even emergency relays failed. Military command outposts reported shadows, triangular craft that appeared without warning and left nothing but dust and electromagnetic scars. The Drale Navy tried to respond. They mobilized 12 assault fleets. 11 never made it past ignition. Their drives failed. The 12 drifted for 2 days before self-destructing. Weapon systems locked by a foreign signal. They couldn't break. VA Threx, from a command fortress on Drale Prime, watched with growing disbelief as entire wings of his empire vanished. No return fire, no captured vessels, no demand for surrender. Just absence. What kind of war is this, he spat. His aide trembled. My lord, they never declared one. Back on Luna, Alira stood in a private chamber beneath the war room. She looked up at a single glowing thread of light in the holomap. It marked the passage of Earth's stealth vessels. On return. Operation complete. Casualties, she asked quietly. Enemy force capability, reduced by 96%. Oberon replied. Human casualties, 0. She nodded. And VA Corps? Still alive. She was silent for a moment, then asked, Why didn't we finish him? Oberon paused. Elimination would make him a martyr. Survival ensures humiliation. It leaves Drale paralyzed, directionless. Good, Alira murmured. Will there be a second strike? She shook her head. No, we said once. Let the lesson settle. A quiet followed. Then Oberon spoke again. He will scream for the council protection now. They'll listen, Alira said, but it's too late. She turned and walked away, voice low. They woke us. We warned them not to. VA Threx stood alone in the shadowed chamber at the summit of the Obsidian Citadel, the tallest structure on Drale Prime. Once a symbol of power, now it felt like a tomb. His claws trembled, though he clenched them tight behind his back. The silence outside was unnatural. No fleet patrols hummed overhead. No communications crackled through the command tower. Drale's might had vanished into quiet. A chime sounded. He turned slowly as the obsidian doors opened, not blasted, not forced. Just opened. 2 humans stepped inside. No fanfare. No weapons drawn. No guards. The first was Alira Voss, clad in matte gray exormer, with a single silver stripe across her chest. Unadorned, precise. Her eyes were unreadable. The second was a man Viacor didn't recognize. Tall, muscular, with a blank expression and silver implants running down his arms like veins of living steel. Viacor Rex, Alira said evenly, by authority of Earth's defense protocol and interstellar wartime precedent, you are removed from command. I still rule, Draelth, he hissed. No, she said. You don't. He lunged, not at her, but toward a panel near the wall. The human male didn't move. He simply raised one hand and sent a precise burst of EMP from the implants in his palm. The panel exploded in a spray of sparks. Viacor reeled back, hand smoking. I expected death, he growled. And you bring this? Alira stepped forward. Death would make you important. You'd be a legend, a reason to rally. You came all this way to insult me? No, she said, voice low. We came to erase you. He narrowed his eyes. You wouldn't dare. Alira tossed a small cube onto the floor. It flickered to life, projecting dozens of Draelv military atrocities across its rotating surfaces. Civilians, children, unarmed colonies. This isn't about one attack anymore, she said. You built your empire on fear. You weaponized dishonor. You taught others to despise mercy. Viacor spat. Mercy is weakness. Exactly. Alira raised a second cube. This one projected a silent image of a Draelv general, throat slit, lying in his own command chair. Then another, and another. Dozens. Coordinated. Instantaneous. No armies left. No leaders. Just you. For the first time, Viacor looked uncertain. Why not kill me and be done with it? Because what's worse than death, Alira said coldly, is being irrelevant. The man beside her stepped forward and placed a final device on the floor. It extended spider-like legs, then latched onto the Citadel's neural relay, direct link to Draelth's global network. Wait, what is that? Viacor barked. The device chirped once. Then Viacor's face appeared on every screen, in every broadcast tower, across Draelth's empire. It showed him pleading, screaming, running from the humans as they stood calm and still. A fabricated footage, but flawless. Stop, he bellowed. You will live, Alira said softly, but no one will listen. The device completed its upload. A minute later, Draelth's planetary media was overwritten, not with fire, but with shame. The final blow wasn't orbital strikes. It was perception, his carefully built myth of strength, turned into a coward spectacle. You can leave now, Alira said. Viacor stood stunned, chest heaving, claws limp at his sides. The humans turned without another word and left. No gunfire, no executions, just silence. At Council Station Alpha, the reaction was swift and chaotic. Ambassadors of 32 member species watched the Draelv collapse unfold in real time. Some tried to argue humanity had overstepped, but none of them could explain how Earth had done it without mass civilian death, or how not a single human soldier had been killed. Ambassador Tyval of the Athari stood slowly. Let this be entered into record, she said, voice tense but clear. The Terrans acted with restraint, calculated, surgical precision. If they had not, there would be no Draelv Prime left. Their restraint is a threat, growled the Yoka representative. If they can do this so cleanly, so efficiently, what stops them from doing it again? Their choice, Tyval said simply, and that was the answer no one wanted to hear. Alira stood at the viewport aboard the Earth vessel Black Sigil, watching Draelv shrink into the distance. The man beside her, Agent Cale Thorne, finally broke the silence. You didn't kill him, but you destroyed him. He'll live with what he built, she said. That's worse. Thorne nodded. Council will be in chaos now. Some of them may try to form coalitions against us. They're welcome to try, she replied. He hesitated. Do you ever worry we become the monster they feared? She turned, her voice low and unwavering. No, because monsters kill without reason. We warned them. We showed them mercy. And when that failed, we taught them the cost. Thorne studied her face. And if they forget, then we remind them, she said. Once, back on Earth, President Amina Reese addressed the world. Her speech was short, firm, and broadcast on every frequency. Humanity has never sought domination. We do not conquer. We do not enslave. But if our children bleed, if our people are burned, we will answer, not in rage, in fire. The message was not just for Earth. It was for every starfaring species that had once scoffed at humanity's council seat, who'd laughed at the upstart planet of oxygen breathers and obsolete missiles, who'd seen humans as fragile and short-lived. Now they knew the truth. Humanity was fragile, but not weak, peaceful, but not passive, and above all, they only needed one war. End of Chapter 4. Word count 1,000. Next chapter, after the silence, the galaxy reacts. The Council fractures. And Earth begins shaping a new interstellar order, one built not on power, but on proof. The Drayth Empire fell, without ceremony. No grand treaties, no signing of peace accords. Just quiet, like a storm had passed and taken everything with it. For the first time in 100 cycles, the Galactic Council chambers remained dimmed. No laughter, no posturing, only whispered conversations carried on recycled air. Ambassador Tyval of the Athari walked the long corridor toward the central dais, her ceremonial cloak draped over one arm. It felt too heavy today. She was not here to speak as a representative of her species. She was here to speak the truth the others refused to admit. The chamber doors opened. 1,000 pairs of alien eyes turned to her. She didn't bow. She didn't wait for permission. Let it be recorded, she said, her voice sharp and clear, that humanity acted only after they were ignored, dismissed, and attacked, that they showed restraint, that they destroyed an empire without mass bloodshed, and that now some among us still plot against them out of fear. There were murmurs, but no open rebuttals. Not yet. Fear, she continued, stepping down the stairs slowly, is not a justification for betrayal. If you fear the humans, perhaps it is not because they are violent. Perhaps it is because you would not have shown the same mercy. Silence answered her. She left without waiting for a vote. Alira Voss sat across from President Reese in a quiet, high-security room aboard Earth's orbital station Solace Point. The Earth flag glowed dimly behind them. For once, there were no holograms, no comlink feeds, no aides. Just 2 women, 1 soldier, 1 leader. Was it worth it? Reese asked after a moment. Alira didn't respond immediately. She studied her own gloved hands, then finally nodded. We didn't just stop a war. We changed how they see us. They'll fear us now, Reese said. They already did. That's why they kept pushing, because they thought we were bluffing. Now they know we don't bluff. Reese exhaled slowly. And Drayth, leaderless, humiliated, broken, but alive. The president raised an eyebrow. You sound regretful. No, Alira said softly. But I don't celebrate it either. Reese leaned forward. What happens next? We wait, Alira said. Then we lead. Weeks passed. No retaliation came. No fleets mobilized. The silence became a signal. One by one, the smaller species that had feared the Drayth began opening diplomatic channels with Earth. Tentative at first. Simple exchanges of cultural data, trade offers, invitations to scientific forums. Humanity responded with warmth, patience, precision. They didn't demand tribute. They didn't rewrite laws. They simply showed up. Earth ships arrived with medicine, not soldiers. Engineers, not conquerors. The galaxy saw not a human empire, but a human presence. And presence, it turned out, could be just as powerful. The Galactic Council reconvened under emergency charter protocols. A new election was proposed, not just for council leadership, but for a restructured voting system. The old bloc powers were crumbling. Influence was shifting. Ambassador Tyval sat beside the newest council seat, marked with simple insignia, Earth's intertwined blue and silver sphere, surrounded by 7 orbiting stars. Humanity had earned more than a seat. They had become a balancing force. Some still protested. The remnants of the Draelf, a few fringe warmongers, a handful of ancient species too proud to adapt. But they were drowned out by new voices, voices that had seen Earth do what no one else could, win without annihilation. Cale Thorne stood at a mining colony on the rim of the Zadros Belt, watching human and alien children play under the artificial dome. A Draelf boy was among them. No one stopped him. No one stared. He spoke into his calm calmly. Reconstruction proceeding smoothly. Cultural integration ongoing. Locals show no signs of resentment. Elira's voice replied through the line. That's the real victory. He smiled faintly. You were right. They didn't fear us for what we did. They feared us because we chose not to do worse. Elira out. Thorne watched the children chase a floating ball across the dome, laughter echoing under synthetic sky. A galaxy changed not through fire, but through restraint. In a quiet archive vault on Earth, far from public eyes, a classified file was logged and sealed. Operation Ashvale, complete. Status, conflict averted. Casualties, minimal. Target, politically neutralized. Global response, positive trajectory. At the bottom of the file, a single line was underlined in red. We warned them. They ignored it. Now they remember. Epilogue. On the far edge of known space, beyond even the Zadros' expanse, a shadowed figure stood at the edge of a monolithic bridge within a dying starship. The figure wasn't Draelf, nor Council. Its species had no name in human records. But it watched, and it learned. Its data gatherers replayed Earth's message 1,000 times. Not in rage, in fire. The figure turned away from the holoscreens and spoke in a voice like grinding stone. They've changed everything. Another, smaller figure stepped from the shadows. Should we intervene? The tall one shook its head slowly. No, not yet. A pause. Let them lead.